Hey YouTube over here, going to give you the long-awaited Orichalcos challenge deck update. I've cleaned it up quite a lot. I've made it much more balanced than it used to be. All of the banned cards and Nibelung's Treasure have been taken out because eventually the deck just hit a really OP theme where it was just getting really boring. And no one wanted to play it, and it was also getting really boring for me. But I have dumbed it down quite a bit. There's still some pretty powerful stuff in here, but it's nowhere near as overpowered as it used to be. So with that, let's show off the improved, much more fair Orichalcos challenge. So first up, we've got the double Orichalcos Gygus. And what he does is whenever he is destroyed by battle or effect, he comes right on back. And every time he is summoned by his own effect, he gets 500 extra attack. If I use his effect on my opponent's turn, I have to skip my next draw phase. And I'm also going to make it a ruling that no matter how many times Gygus leaves the field, and no matter how many times Gygus dies and comes back in one turn, I'm only going to allow him to be able to attack once per battle phase. Because normally to be able to smash in constantly and just rack up attack is pretty dumb. So I'm only going to allow Gygus one attack per battle phase. Next up, we got possibly the best monster in the deck, Orichalcos Cutora. I have to pay 500 life points to summon this from my hand. And it's a special summon, and while it's on the field, all battle damage I take is negated. And then if Orichalcos Cutora is destroyed, I special summon Orichalcos Shuneros, and he comes out from hand, deck, or graveyard. Orichalcos Shuneros, when he is summoned successfully, I get the Arms of Awesomeness, Dexia, and Aristeros. Shuneros' attack is question mark. It's equal to how much ever damage that Cutora negated while it was on the field. And then what Dexia and Aristeros do is they are the ultimate sword and shield, respectively. Dexia's attack is 300 more than the attack or defense of the monster it is battling during damage step only. And Aristeros does the same thing, except it's always going to be 300 defense higher than whatever it is battling. And if Orichalcos Shuneros does not exist on the field, the two arms get destroyed. But also if Orichalcos Shuneros is destroyed by battle or card effect, then I drop the ultimate last-ditch effort, which is the Great Divine Serpent. It has infinite attack, but it is pretty easy to get over, because I'll explain. When this card is summoned successfully, I have to discard my entire hand, and my life points get reduced to 0. Now that may seem weird, and yes it is, but even though my life points are at 0, as long as I control this face-up card, I remain in the game. So it lets me bypass win conditions. And if I want it to be able to attack, I have to mill 10 cards from the top of my deck. Now, this card is really overpowered just because it has the infinite attack, and it bypasses win conditions. But think about it, Breakthrough Skill is a thing, Fiendish Chain's a thing, we've got Effect Veiler, Dark Hole, Mirror Force, all that can get rid of this. So yeah, Divine Serpent usually stands no chance on its own, unless I have ways to protect it. Now for this, we've got the 3 Orichalcos Soldiers. They're just the basic vanilla, basically the Gene Warp Werewolf of the deck. That's really all they serve. That's really the only purpose they serve. And of course, the 1 Rescue Rabbit, proxied to fit the Orichalcos theme. Next up, double Tour Guide from the Underworld. I know tour guide's at 3, but I'm not running 3 just because I don't really have room for it. And I like running tour guide in a even number, because if I ran 3 tour guides, I'd have to figure out what I want for a 4th target, and the only good 4th target is Sangan, and it's banned. I could run Night Assailant, but there's just better stuff. And then next up we've got the Ritual Monster, which is Mirror Knight Calling. It has to be ritual summoned by its appropriate ritual spell. And when it is ritual summoned successfully, I get 4 of these tokens, the Mirror Knights. And they each come in with 1 shield counter. And the gimmick with these is that, well, if you ever get to the chance to face me, I'll show you what the gimmick is with these. But these knights all come in with a shield counter, and when you if they're destroyed, their counter gets removed instead. If a Mirror Knight battles, well, it has a counter. If it battles an attack position monster, its attack becomes equal to the monster it is battling. So I can match and then just remove the shield to keep it on the field. So yeah, that's how the tokens work. And Mirror Knight Calling has one more effect, where once per turn I can put 1 shield counter on Mirror Knight tokens without their shield counters, and Mirror Knight tokens can only have a maximum of 1 shield counter at any given time. So that's the monster count. And then the spell cards, we've got the 3 seals themselves. Y'all know what this does. This is basically why I made the deck. They make the world go round. Spell speed 4 for whatever reason. It negates stuff and it steals your soul if you lose. Then we've got the second seal, which once per turn I gain 500 life points per monster I control. And I guess even though that's pretty much all this thing does, really. It has another effect, but it's rarely ever used. So you'll probably never even see me use it. And it gains the effects of the first seal, too. I have to have the first seal out in order to activate this. Then the final seal, Trados. What this adds is that I can negate a spell or trap card that would affect a monster I control. And it's spell speed 2, so it can't stop counter traps. So that helps you out. But this, I usually don't want to summon the Divine Serpent until I get this out. But sometimes I have to, just because my opponent forced me to summon Serpent. I've seen people that are running like up to 7 layers and then more of the seal. I only go up to Trados because not only does it get really broken at 7, but but if you have like 7 different layers of the seal, it also creates a lot of inconsistencies just because they're all dead cards unless you can play them, and they're really, in the end, it actually makes the deck less consistent. To search Orichalcos cards, we have double Orichalcos Eye. Once per turn, it's a continuous spell. Once per turn, pay 1,000 life points to either add an Orichalcos card from my deck or my graveyard to my hand, and that's all that does. Drawing 3 Upstart Goblins so that I can run a 37 card deck without it actually being 37 cards. More drawing, Card of Demise, and Card of Sanctity. Because these cards are busted draw cards, but they're nowhere near as busted as Nibelung's Treasure was. Card of Demise, I draw until I have 5. Then on my 5th standby phase after I activated this, I have to send my whole hand to the grave. And then Card of Sanctity, both players draw until they have 6 cards. So yeah, they're pretty powerful, but nowhere near as unbalanced as Nibelung's Treasure was. The one Dark Hole, because it's Dark Hole. Illusion Gate, this is one of the more busted cards in the deck, but it does have a huge side effect if I can't get it off. I have to be really careful with this card. It destroys all monsters my opponent controls first, and then I select one monster in my opponent's graveyard, and I can special summon that monster, ignoring summoning conditions. So it lets me grab your boss monster, which can be pretty broken, but when you think of it, this can be solemn warninged and all manner of things. It can be, you can Stardust Dragon since it destroys and all that stuff. There's ways to get around this. The deck just needs to be outplayed. And that's basically it. The deck just really needs to be outskilled. Then my last spell card is Orichalcos Mirror, which is required to ritual summon the Mirror Knight Calling. Tribute 6 or more stars to ritual summon the Mirror Knight Calling from the deck. Yes, Mirror Knight Calling ritual summons from the deck, so that's why it's I run 2, and Mirror Knight Calling is dead in my hand. Now onto traps. Triple Reckless Greed, obvious drawing, and of course you got 2 chain. I can steal my opponent's monsters and my opponent's spells with Crossheart and Last Trick. Crossheart, if I take battle damage, I flip this up and I take control of the monster that dealt battle damage to me. And it's really only useful if I don't have Kutora on the field, because Kutora negates my battle damage. And then Last Trick is, when my opponent activates a spell card that would be sent to the graveyard this turn, that card is added to my hand instead. So if they Dark Hole me, I flip this up. Dark Hole still works, but instead of going to the graveyard, that opponent's Dark Hole will go to my hand. Same thing with like MS. I can even like chain this to MST and all that stuff. Okay, it's a pretty interesting card. Take One Chance. This card can be really, this card can be kind of unfair and kind of really bad at the same time, because it selects one random card in my graveyard. Basically, it's the only card that I have to shuffle my graveyard, and it selects one card in my graveyard at random. Then, if it's a monster, I special summon that monster, ignoring conditions or costs. And if it's a spell or trap, I activate it immediately, ignoring conditions or costs. Now, it can be pretty broken, but at the same time, I could pick a dead card that I like doesn't have an invalid target, and then this card would just have been wasted. So it's a chance. That's why it's called Take a Chance. Then my last trap is Prophecy. While my opponent is attempting to summon a monster without looking at the monster they're trying to summon, I guess if that monster's attack is above 2,000, below 2,000, or equal to 2,000, if I guess right, that summoning is negated and that monster is added to my hand. So if it's a Synchro or Xyz monster, it goes to my extra deck. Of course, you'll get it back at the end of the game. But, yeah. Yeah, Prophecy is a pretty fun card to play with. And then the extra deck is all pretty basic. Double Zen Mains, Leviair, Giga Brilliant, Leviathan Dragon, Acid Golem. Most of it's filler. Steel Storm Roach, Utopia, Double Gem Knight Pearl, because I don't really have a lot of extra deck cards. I would run Cowboy or something like that if I had it, but mostly filler. Crazy Box. But the main Xyz card is 3 of this. Orichalcos Dragon. It's a rank 4, requires 2 level 4 Orichalcos monsters, and once per turn I can detach a material to add 1 Orichalcos card from my deck or my graveyard to my hand. So it's an Orichalcos Eye on legs. And then, just like every other Orichalcos deck user that has to have their special touch to the deck, this is my number 90. I would prefer it not to have number in the name, but I had it like that. But I ordered this as is, as the person had it. But this is a Pinkie Pie, of course. And if you want to know what her effect is, You'll have to find out when you take the challenge. A lot of people that watch this probably know what her effect is already. But yeah, that is the Orichalcos challenge. I'll have the rules posted in. As for rules, the main thing is no burn stall, no Exodia, and advanced format only. Although I will accept traditional cards in special exceptions, like if you want to duel me with like a character deck or something like that. I also do welcome other custom decks, like I'll do Orichalcos mirror matches sometimes, and things like that. But I will accept custom cards to use against me, but as long as they're not like on the Chuck Norris level of power, if you get what I'm saying. And yeah, this is the new and improved and much more trimmed and clean Orichalcos challenge. I'm accepting all challengers. I'll have ways to contact me in the description if you want to have a webcam duel with me. And give us those likes, those comments. Really helps out. Tell me what you think and all that. And give me a holler and we'll get our duel on. Thanks for watching and see you all later.